administration. He's a man now, terminal. He knows he's going, and that's the background that I'm coming in. Any indication from the U.S. side that there might be somewhat helpful or cooperative, or absolutely nothing? No indication, except that they're watching me. Of course. They're following all my steps. God be with you. Thank you. Illinois, huh? Bye-bye.
My next stopover was Malaysia. I was invited by the Sultan of Johor, who was a close friend of mine. His son picked me up from Singapore, and I was brought across the border to Malaysia. I shared my plans with the Sultan and to some of his friends and allies who joined our meeting. He offered the southern back door to get me to the Philippines. I thanked him for the offer, but my plan was already in place to land in Manila.
I've ordered the arrest of those directly involved in the conspiracy to overthrow our duly constituted government by violence and subversion.
Ninoy had been arrested early morning of September 23, 1972, while they were having a meeting in the Hilton at the time. He called me on his radio phone. There were no cell phones at the time. And he said, Cory, pupunta ngayon ako sa krami. And I said, bakit? At saka mo na malalaman.
Mr. Marcos arrested together with us in the Senate most of the leaders in the Constitutional Convention. All of those opposing him went to jail with us.
It was really just so awful, and I thought, oh, this is just the beginning, and what's going to happen next?
And Mr. Marcos said, I declared martial law to save democracy. But by saving democracy, he killed it.
That was the beginning of a long detention period of 7 years and 7 months. In the beginning, it wasn't too bad. Like, every day we could visit for 1 hour. He was no longer in control of his life. And one man was deciding everything for us. And in the beginning, we were both, well, maybe you can say we were complaining, why is this happening to us? Okay, we're not saints, but definitely we're not the big sinners that other people are, and yet they're free to do their own thing, and here we are, having to suffer this.
And I often ask myself, bakit ka pa nagpapakahirap dito? In 73, a high official of the government asked me, endorse mo na lamang ang New Society ni Noy, ayos na. Ilalabas na kita. When I refused, they advised me, sumulat ka na lang kay Marcos, ask for his forgiveness. O ano naman ka akong kasalanan ko, ay siya nagkasala sa bayan, bakit akong hihingi ng tawad? I want to prove to Mr. Marcos that not only comfort and material things are the demands of the flesh, that there is an indomitable spirit that will be willing to take any sacrifices for our people.
What was going on in Ninoy's mind and heart was something not easily visible or felt by those who did not know him. But I could, in fact, sense the tremendous change, not only going on in his mind and heart, but also in mine.
One of the greatest problems of a prisoner is loneliness. For 7 years, I was not allowed to see the moon and the stars. There were days where they left me all alone by myself. I had no reading material. I had nothing. I was twiddling my thumb. I would walk and walk and walk across my room. Just a room of about 4 meters by 5 meters. Hoping that I'll get tired. And then when I get tired, I will fall asleep. Knowing that tomorrow will be the same.
It was a learning process for him, learning to live in solitude and just being shut away from what the world was when he was such an extrovert.
Ikang ganon, be practical. Eh talagang ganun eh. Makibagay ka na napakalakas ka ng bagyo eh. Ikaw lahi ka mahihirapan diyan. Mag-isa ka dyan. Hindi balik ang ganun. Kung ayaw mo nang sumulat, eh tumawag ka na lang sa telepono, ibulong mo na lamang. Ayos na. I would like to tell you that I was tempted in my almost 7,285 days in prison to do just that. I am only human. Ako po isang tao lamang. When my wife and children would visit me and they would leave me at dusk after 1 hour, I also would like to enjoy the embrace of my children and the peace of my home.
During his incarceration, where Ninoy had spent the most time with his children. Because before that, he was just so busy, and he would come home late at night, or maybe leave early in the morning, and the only time we had together with the children would be Sunday, because I made that a rule. Parang he felt a little guilty na when he had all the time, well, when he was free, he could not take them out, and here they were coming. And I said, oh, kalimutan mo yun, anyway, they're happy to be with you. And I think it was February 23 of 1973 when we were told by the authorities in Fort Bonifacio that our visits to Ninoy had been suspended.
They brought me to a mountain hideout in the Sierra Madre and placed me in a box. I had only my brief and my t-shirt. I refused to eat because I thought they were poisoning me. There was nothing in the room, barely nothing. And I had nothing to do but twiddle my thumb. And for the first time in my life, I heard the ticking of every second, and I was counting every second into minutes. And as the minutes marched into hours, and the hours into days, and days into weeks, I knew what loneliness meant.
It was April 8, or April 7, the Supreme Court came out with this decision appealing to the authorities in Fort Bonifacio to allow Nena Diokno and me to visit our husbands. Colonel Ramos, who became General Ramos then. And he said, yes, we will take you to where they are. We couldn't tell anybody. Before leaving Makati, I passed by my parents' house, and I told my father that makakabisita yata kami kay Ninoy, pero hindi pa sinasabi kung saan. Then I told my younger sister, Pasi, sabi ko, Pasi, can you give me a tranquilizer? Dahil hindi ko alam kung sa kami dadalhin eh. Sige,